guys, but I wanted to just jump on here just to recap on the year and moving forward what I plan on doing, and for all the young men out there that are looking to level up their mindset, level up their finances, level up their looks maxing, level up their status. These are the things that I'm suggesting you do. So first off, this year was a bit of a struggle for me. I've got a few things in the pipeline. So there's been a lot of money outlaying and investing, and to be quite frank, not a lot of return for the moment anyway. But there was one thing that I want to sort of pass on to you guys. I kind of never really changed my lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, I don't mean in a materialistic way. Pretty much a lot of my money goes towards my health. It goes towards, gym memberships aren't that much, but it goes towards, organic food, good water, and a lot of biohacking kind of appointments. I do hyperbaric chamber, red light therapy, cold plunge, massages, and obviously treatment to, help fix my body because I train a lot. And so I just wanted to sort of just pass on to you guys that the best investment you can make is in yourself. And now when I say that, I mean, buying something fancy or, buying some new clothes, even though that can elevate your status. But I'm also talking about your health. I was maybe about 8 years ago, I was with probably one of the most successful entrepreneurs where I'm in Adelaide. He's a lot older now, but he said something very, I wasn't expecting it to come from someone like him, all right? So when I was asking him questions back in the day about, wealth creation and how to make money and all that sort of stuff, he pretty much said to me, George, don't worry about any of that stuff. Like yes, worry about it, but that shouldn't be your main focus, He said, your main focus should be your health. He said, F the money. He said, focus on your health. Because he said, if you don't have your health, you've got nothing. And he told me, and I don't know this person, he said that he knows a billionaire, all right, private jet, everything, but he's in a wheelchair. Now, I don't know why he's in a wheelchair, but obviously he's had some health complications. So he said to, and this particular person that told me this story, he's actually not the healthiest person, let's just put it that way. And he sort of struggles to walk as well. So he said to me, look at me, George, I can't even walk properly. So, and ever since then, I've always made an effort, doesn't matter what financial position that I'm in, to always invest in my health. Buy organic, invest in the, going to a naturopath, even though that costs an arm and a leg. Like to go to a naturopath, or the one I go to, it's between 300 to 400 a sesh. And then you have to, well, you don't have to, but to buy the health supplements after to, get your body in pristine condition, make sure your body's functioning properly, add another $500, $600. So to a lot of people, especially this year, they probably wouldn't be able to afford that. If they've got a family, they've got a mortgage, they've got kids, to outlay $1,000 for your health. A lot of people aren't in a position to do that, all right? And so, I never really changed that. And that's sort of what I want to get to you guys. Doesn't matter sort of, I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that, say they lived off 2-minute noodles and, sleeping on the floor. I wouldn't say I don't agree with that. At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. But I personally wouldn't succumb to that. Like, I would rather make it eventually than try and make it in a year or two and like be unhealthy. Because like I said to you before, that this really, probably the most successful person that I know, focused emphasis on health. And he was, I wouldn't say he's near the end of his life, but he's a lot older, right? He's in the last quarter of his life, let's just put it like that. So for someone like that to say that, it hits different, you know? So there's that. Next thing is, I guess, networking and surrounding yourself with the right people. So if you're stuck in a cycle of, going out with your mates, drinking, partying, trying to pick up chicks, look, if you're trying to find a wife, that's a different story. I'm a firm belief that a man, especially in this day and age, you need to get your money right, your wealth right, your status right, your health right, all those things right before you attempt to try and meet someone. Because you could meet a girl tomorrow, and if you're not in a financial position where you can look after her and your future children, if God wills that for you, yeah, dude, you need money, all right? So what I suggest to a lot of young men is don't worry about going out with your mates and all that sort of stuff. Like from 20 to 30, that should be the decade where you lock in, hang around, reach out to people that are doing things. That's a bit difficult because some people, like I've met a lot of high value men through networks. Very rarely where I could reach out to someone to say, hey, can we catch up? Like a lot of those guys at that top level, some might be all right, but they're too busy. They're going to be like, who are you? So going to networking events, I don't know, whatever industry you're in, but if you're in, car sales or real estate or even in construction, or even in restaurateur or whatever, trying to network with as many people as you can. So like, for example, if you're in a car dealership and, if I was in a car dealership, I'll work at like a BMW or a Mercedes, or even like depending on what country you live in, even like a car dealership that sells Ferraris and all that. Because what happens is when you're in those environments, those people that you're networking with, there's no way you would be able to meet these people, right? So let's just say you're at a car dealership and you're selling Ferraris. Well, you're going to be rubbing shoulders with those types of top level people that can afford those things. So then you can cultivate relationships. So if Greg came in and he's running some, tech company, or he's got his own businesses, or he's got multiple properties, first you might, speak about the car and stuff. But then you might, after you've built a bit of rapport with him, you might say, hey, Greg, do you mind catching up? I want to learn more about entrepreneurship. I want to learn more about business. Like, can you help me out? Most of the time, these guys, wouldn't mind helping a young guy out. And I've found that as well. Like a lot of men that are older than me, if I've reached out to them, that I've known, not just randomly, that I've known, that they're more than happy to help a young man, because they want to see you succeed as well. So network, and be careful the company you keep. So a lot of the guys from your school may not sort of enter in the next phase of your life. School's a bit of a different sort of topic to talk about. We can talk about that another time. But you really want to surround yourself with like killers. When I say killers, I'm talking like those savages that are like excelling in whatever work they're doing, or hitting the gym, having a good physique. They've got discipline. Stay away from alcohol and stay away from drugs and all that kind of thing, because these are the types of people that are gonna help like level you up. All right. So that's important as well, your network. Next would be obviously your faith. So if you are a young man and you feel a bit lost and lonely, building a relationship with Christ is going to be the best thing you can do. I mean, I'm an Orthodox Christian, and the last couple of years since I've kind of given my life up to Christ and have, you know, gone to church, confessed, commune, fasted, my life has changed, you know, quite significantly. A lot of opportunities have come on my lap, and a lot of things have happened, you know, and I feel like a different person as well. So that's very important. Build a relationship with Christ, you know, go to your church. I mean, if you are atheist or if you're whatever denomination you are, I stress to look into orthodoxy. So there's that. There's, looking after your health, hitting the gym. I can't tell you how important that is, especially as a young man, especially in this dating, I guess, arena. You know, you have to look after yourself because the competition, being in the dating game, the competition is so, I guess, I don't know what the words are, but there's so much competition out there. There's so many, you know, I wouldn't say so many, but there are that top echelon of men, that top 5-10%. And because of social media now and girls have access to kind of any kind of guy in the world pretty much these days, if you're not looking after yourself, your hygiene, your body, your fitness, dude, you're going to be left on the shelf. And that's part of the reason why I've started this YouTube channel, because I really want to just help young men. And I don't even really want, you know, anything for it or anything like that. I'm not one of those guys to, you know, sell you a course or anything like that. Well, not now anyway. You know, maybe I might get into some coaching and stuff, but it's going to be, you know, very affordable and it's going to be real. You know, it's not going to be pay me 10 grand and, you know, I'll give you this course and there's no support and stuff like that. And you sort of just have to learn yourself. It will be more of a one-on-one basis type of thing. But like I said, I haven't really thought about that just yet. That might come later, whatever God wills, I guess. So yeah, looking after your body and obviously, you know, in terms of your health, you know, getting in your lean protein sources, getting in your vegetables, getting in clean water and getting in your health supplements. Next thing is, like status and wealth. Status, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that in order to get a woman in first world Western cultures like Australia, America, the UK, you have to have some type of status or wealth to get like a top tier woman. And when I say top tier woman, I don't mean, you know, an entrepreneur woman that has her own business. I'm talking the looks, the age and that kind of thing. Because men and women look at different things in each other. You know, men want a woman that's, you know, pure, feminine, low to no body count, and pretty, and, you know, fertile. That's literally like, if you peel back the layers, that's literally what a man that wants to reproduce, that's what he's looking for. Like everything else out there that are telling you, oh no, find a woman that's all rubbish. Like if you look at the fundamentals of, you know, reproduction and you know, what men are really looking for, when you peel back all the layers of rubbish, that's essentially what they're looking for. Now, here's the thing, and this is what a lot of men struggle to grasp. Women want in a man status, provisionary abilities, and resources. Because when you peel back the layers, all right, and you don't even have to be that good looking, to be honest. Like if you've got status, wealth, and resources, dude, you could have any pick of any chick you want. And a lot of guys say, oh, but she's a gold digger. Dude, you have to understand women's biological makeup. Back in ancient times, a woman would go with the man that has provisionary abilities and resources, because when she has offspring with that person, that she needs to know that her offspring are being looked after. So I get that whole, but you should be a gold digger. Dude, you got to get that out of your mind. That's all women, even if they don't say it, they're going to kind of want that. Now, do you have to be careful? Of course. There's no point if you get wealthy, flashing your wealth and attracting the wrong type of women, because the wrong type of woman could destroy you and your empire, all right? But in essence, a woman is going to want a man that has resources and can provide, like bottom line. So, a lot of men think, oh, I don't want a gold digger. Dude, you don't really have a choice. That's sort of like saying to a man, oh, don't worry about getting the woman that's young and fertile. And don't worry about that. Just get a 40-year-old woman that's had 2 kids with someone else. You'll be happy. Dude, no. So you have to understand that. And as a young man, that's what you should be striving towards. You should be striving to build a relationship with God, getting in an amazing shape. And I'm actually sort of started my diet sort of this week, staying away from drugs and alcohol, finding a good network, building your wealth and status, and of course looks maxing, which we'll get into another episode. I didn't actually really know what looks maxing was up until recently, because I'm obviously from a different generation, but there's a lot of guys like Clavicular, Fresh and Fit, they all sort of talk about that kind of thing. So what I want to say is to everyone, it's December 31st, 2025. Tomorrow, 2026 starts. And have a good think about who you are, what you want to do, and what kind of life you want to live. And base your habits and rituals around that. So, for example, you want to be big, handsome, have property, have wealth. You need to be doing things and activities that are conducive to that outcome. You can't say to yourself, oh, I want to be successful and rich and this, but then you're hanging out with your mates, getting on the bags, drinking on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and expecting that. It doesn't work like that. And the other thing is as well, I want to say, because it's very important, we can do another episode on this. Whatever you think is going to take time, a lot of people think, I don't know if these guys are fake, but you might see people on Instagram uploading reels of a 12-month transformation where he was broke and then a multi-millionaire. Look, of course there's exceptions to the rule, but that's not normal. I don't think that's real. And this other successful person told me that to build real wealth, it takes a lifetime. So you might see all these guys flashing, their rented Lambos and rented private jets and stuff like that. Obviously they're trying to sell you something. Don't buy into that. It takes a long time. I'm, I guess, 12 years into my entrepreneurial kind of journey, and I thought I would have made it much earlier. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm doing something wrong or maybe it's God's will, God's maybe forging me, helping me understand patience and delayed gratification, whatever it is. But what I'm saying is, whether you're trying to build your body or whether you're trying to build wealth, takes longer than you think. But it's going to be worth it, I've got aspirations that, in the next 5 years or so, I kind of want to semi-retire from what I'm doing. But I've done the hard yards, and I've got things in motion, things in place to help give me the life that I want. Ideally, I want to be able to sort of travel when I want, when I want, spend money how I want. Ultimately, I want to find a wife and have a big family and, have a God-centered life. So I hope everyone, I know I just started my YouTube channel, probably won't get that many views for now, but I hope everyone has a good entering of the 2026, and I'm gonna try and post as much as I can when I can, and yeah, hopefully build this channel. If you guys want to see some of my content on Instagram, it's just GeorgeDemo_, and yeah, everyone have a good 2025, 2026, and